Today is the 18th, Yud Ches Adar Alef. We are on page Samach Hey in the footnote number 6 of the Ma'amarim of the Alter Rebbe. This is a Maimar on Noach and what was the purpose of building the tower, and Hashem was nervous about them building the tower, and Asula and Shem that they will make a name for themselves, what it means, and so on. It's an interesting maimah. We cannot learn all of it, but we are learning about Akudim, Nekudim, and Bodim, which is the 3 stages of the Spheros from Adam Kadmon. From after the Kav, after the Tzimtzum. In Adam Kadmon, the Spheros are in a state of Akudim, which means they are all bound in one Keli. The Keli of Or Ein Sof, the Keli of the will of God. It's no separation. They are all together in one Keli. Then comes Nekudim, which now we have each one in its own Keli, but in a manner of nekuda, of a point, which means the essence of the sphera, and therefore there is no room for iskalalus and inter-inclusion with other spheros, and therefore the shvira happens on tohu, in nekudim. And then we have brudim. Nekudim is like nekudot, points, and then we have brudim, and brudim are the merging reality of Atzilus, when the spheros not only that are each one in their own keli, but each sphera is number one. It's not a nekuda anymore, it's a sphera. That means that it breaks down to 10, and not only that, but that breaking down goes on 10 to 10 and 10 to 10 and so on. And then there is a partuf, which means a partuf, which is a whole visage, a whole face, a whole constellation of spheros. That means how the spheros interact with each other, to the extent that even opposite spheros, Chesed and Gvura, can blend with each other and coexist and co-function with each other. And we learned about 2 types of Ischalkus. There is Chalkus that brings to division, and there is Chalkus that brings to inclusion. Chalkus means division. Chalkus, with meaning a division that brings to separation, to pirud, and there is this Chalkus, a separation, a division, that brings to inclusion, to iskalalus. And this is the difference between Tohu and Tikkun. Between Tohu and Atzilus. The spheros in Tohu are in a manner of Ischalkus, unlike Akudim. In Akudim, there is no separation between the spheros yet. They are all one, we said, they are all in one keli, they are all together. There is no distinction between one and another, because each one doesn't have its own keli yet. In Nekudim, in Tohu, in the world of points, of Ksarim, in other words, it's called the world of Ksarim, the world of crowns. The Keser is the point, which means the essence of every sphere. So in Tohu, there is already an Hischalkus. There is a division to 10 separate spheros, which in Akudim they are not separate, they are together. In Nekudim there are 10, they're separating now. Mischalek to 10. They are divided to 10. However, since these 10 in Nekudim, in Tohu, are in a manner of Nekuda, of essence, each one is infinitely itself, without compromise, and therefore they cannot coexist. In order for if you have A, B, C, D, all the way 10 spheros, for B to emerge, A has to die. Because A is uncompromisingly itself, and B is uncompromisingly itself, because they are in a manner of essence, bilti mispashet, without any status, any extension from the essence, from the nekuda, from their essential point. And therefore, this Chalkus to 10 brings to separation. Now they are separate from each other as much as can be, especially those that are opposites. But any of them, in order for one to exist, the other one has to die. Vayimloch bayamas, as we learn. So this his Chalkus brings to Pirut, to separation. This his Chalkus, this division to 10 in Tohu, in Nekudim, brings to separation, to Pirut, one from the other. And Pirut is Shvira. Separation is part of the reality of a breakage from the oneness. Then comes Brudim, Atzilus, the spheres the way they are revealed. And there, it are not in a manner of Nekuda, it's in a manner of Sphira. Each Sphira is divided to 10, but here the division is not creating separation. Why? Because in Atzilus, the spheres are not operating in an essential form. They are operating in a manner of Hispashtus Mina Etzem. They are extending themselves from the essential point, and therefore they are showing all kinds of facets to themselves. They are divided to 10, each one divided to 10, Chesed Shebechesed, Gvura Shebechesed, and so on. And even those are breaking to other 10, another 10, another 10. This division, where the Sphira is showing many facets of itself, and can do it infinitely, enables the interaction between spheres. Because now, the Sphira of Gvura, that essentially opposes the Sphira of Chesed, when it's Chesed of Atzilus, in Tohu, they will clash. Because they're each one in their essential form. But in Tikkun, they will inter-include each other. They will blend with each other. Why? Because each one of them is going out from their essential state. So now, the Sphira of Chesed can also reveal its Gvura aspect, and the Sphira of Gvura can also reveal its Chesed aspect. It's showing itself in many ways, not necessarily its essential form, but in relative form, depending. So now the Sphiros this is Chalkus, Adrabah. Even more so, the more his Chalkus you have, the more division you have, the more inter-inclusion you have. Because the more, if I show only my existential quality, either you can feel comfortable with it or not. But if I show many facets to my personality, and I let you look at my personality from many aspects and many perspectives, and not necessarily from my essential, but how do I emerge when I am on these circumstances, and how do I emerge when I am in these circumstances? You see various facets of mine now. It's easier for you to relate to me, because I don't show only black or white. I show different shades of different colors and different grays and different blacks and different whites and so on and so forth. And you can find yourself in me and relate to me. And how shall I say? Interact with me in a manner of inclusion and not of exclusion. The way the spheros are in Tohu. Okay, so let's go quickly through the questions. Number 1. What are the meanings of the words Akudim, Nekudim, and Brudim in the word of Tohu and Tikkun?
That was what you just...
Okay, number 2. What do the 7 divine ineffable names in Atzilus represent? What are some and what are some examples? They represent the 7 middles before the Keli, We're not specifying yet.
No.
They represent the 7 midos, divine midos. Whether they are in Atzilus or in Nikudim or in Torah. The 7 holy names that we're not allowed to erase, represent the 7 midos. Like Kel is Chesed, and Elokim is Gbura, and Havaya is Tiferet, and Havaya Tzvakos is Netzach, and Elokim Tzvakos is Hod, and Shakai or Kel Chai is Yesod, and Adna is Malchus. The 7 midos. Now the Rebbe separates between each one of the midos, of the 7 midos that they have. Each one has an or and a keli. The 7 names are the 7 kelim. The keli of each sphere. The keli of Sfiras HaChesed is Shem Kel. The keli of Sfiras HaGvura is Shem Elokim. The keli for Sfiras HaTiferet is Shem Havai. What about the oros? All spheros share the same name to their oros. They are all Shem Havaya. So what's the difference between one and another? The Nikud of Shem Havaya, of let's say of Chesed, you will find Shem Havaya of Chesed, which means the O of Chesed, to the Nikudos of Tzeret. The Shem Havaya will be spelled will be voweled with Tzeret. And I think Shem Elokim, Shem Havaya in the sphere of Gvura, in the Keli of Elokim, will be with the Nekuda of Segol. Of Sfiras HaKeter will be with Kama. Or the Or of Sfiras HaChochma will be Yud Kei Vav Kei with Pata. But all the Oros are Yud Kei Vav Kei. Now, what's unique to Midas HaTiferet? In which examples do Kli and Or meet as Purchama? It's an interesting way she puts it. We see that Midas HaTiferet is an exception. Because in Midas HaTiferet, side the Keli, side the vessel, and side the light, side the Or are called Yud Kei Vav Kei. The Keli of Midas HaTiferet is called Shem Havaya, Yud Kei Vav Kei. Like Chesed is Kel, Gvura is Elokim, Tiferet is Havaya. The Or of Tiferet is also called Havaya, like all the Oros of all the 7 midos. The Or is always Or and Sof. The Or in every sphere is always Or and Sof. How will it appear? Okay, so where they meet, first of all, where the Or and the Keli meet Bechlal is in a way where the Or is subjecting itself to appear in this way or that way, depending on the Keli. It begins on the Nekudos of Yud Kei Vav Kei. If it's Yud Kei Vav Kei or Havaya is with the Nekuda of Segol, or Tzere, or Cholam, or Pasach, or Kamat. That's already how the Or is getting ready to show up in a Keli of Chesed, or in a Keli of Gvura, or in a Keli of Tiferet, or Keli of Netzach, all the way down to Malchus. Now, what is unique is Midas HaTiferet, because side the Keli and side the Or are called Havaya. The name Havaya points to Kli Echad.
Yeah.
How does it move from Keter to Malchus through the 10 spheros?
So different Nekudot. That's what I wanted. Trumps and all that. Where the other are more Keli that are very differentiated. That's how far I went into being able to express the questions.
The Rebbe is beginning to explain the Inyan of Akudim, Nekudim, Brudim in this context of that it is explained in Eitz Chaim that this is the advantage, as he said, Midas HaTiferet in comparison to the other midos. The fact that even the Keli of Midas HaTiferet is the aspect of Shem Havaya, and the Keli, even the Keli is Shem Havaya, which is not the case in the other midos. It says like this, look in the parentheses. ומה שכתוב, מי כמוך בכלים הוויה, דמשמע ששם הוויה גדול מכל השמות. Said mי כמוך בכלים הוויה, it means that name Havaya, Kelim means Elim here. But Shem Havaya is higher than all other names. Yisparesh ben Bekelim ben Ba'oros. And this applies, the Shem Havaya is highest than all other names, applies Sai to Kelim, Sai to Oros. Ve'akol b'midas hatif'eres dafka. And everything brings to midas hatif'eres dafka, is expressed dafka to tif'eres. Why? Le'yoso kalul mikulam. Because tif'eres includes all. As Muhammad said, it's the middle line. It includes all. Kayadua, as known. Uvein b'chinas hakli demidas hatif'eres, shenikra b'shem Havaya, gadol hu מבשאר השמות דקהל אלוקים חולו, ובין בבחינת האור דתפארת, הגם שכולם בבחינת הוויה כנ"ל, מכל מקום גדול ומכולם, להיותו כולל כל ההוויות שבשאר המידות כולו ודל. So the Rebbe says here, midas hatiferet is greater than all other midos. Sai, regarding Havaya representing Kelim, that regarding the Kelim of all the midos, Havaya is the greatest, greater than Elokim, greater than Kel, greater than Shakai, and so on. And Sai, the Or of Tiferet. So Tiferet is greater. Sai, in terms of its Keli, its Keli is greater than all other Kelim of other spheros. And Sai, its light, its Or. Even though all Earth we just said of all spheros, of all midos are Havaya, nevertheless, Havaya of Tiferet, or Havaya of Tiferet, is greater than all of them. Why? Because it includes all Havayas of all other midos, that each one is spelled with another nekudos. The Havaya of Tiferet includes them all. It can, because it's connected to all the way, the formless, before the form, it can include all of them. וזהו שאמרו בני גד ובני ראובן כאל אלוקים הוויה. This is why בני גד ובני ראובן said כאל אלוקים הוויה. They mention all three names, חסד, גבורה, and tiferet. ומה שכתוב עוד הפעם, this is to differentiate and that they want to recruit all the way to Havaya, in terms of recruiting divine powers. And also, מה שכתוב עוד הפעם, we say, מי כמוך בכלים השם, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. מה שכתוב עוד הפעם, it says, there's a repetition, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, שהוא בחינת אור אבא בשם מה דחוכמה, המשלבש בזו במידת התפארת דייקה. מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, קודש represents חוכמה. And we don't have to go into that now. Which is saying, the Chokhmah, the way Chokhmah is mislabesh in Zo, in the midos. In the midos. And where that Chokhmah is mislabesh, in midas hatiferet dafka. So the ultimate consciousness is dafka expressed to midas hatiferet. כמו שכתוב במקום אחר בעניין שורש בחינת השבת, בעניין המאמר קודש מילה בגרמי, עיין שם. This is like about Shabbos. Shabbos is also Shabbos Kodesh, which is connected with Chokhmah, which means that there is a higher level of consciousness that shines in our middle. Ayen שבזהו שכתוב נורא תהילות, נורא תהילות, as we learned also in the past, הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, נורא is בחינת קו האמצעי. נורא is the middle line, תפארת. גיבור, גדול, גיבור ונורא, חסד, גבורה, תפארת. In 18, when we say הקל, הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, it refers to חסד, גבורה, תפארת. So הנורא is בחינת נורא תהילות השם. What are we praising? The נורא, what's the נורא? בחינת קו האמצעי. The middle line, the line of תפארת, תפארת, the middle line of זו, the middle. שעולה עד פנימיוס הכסר. That ascends, the middle line of the middles, ascends all the way to Pnimius HaKeser, b'bchinas Tiferet de'atik yomim. It is Tiferet, but as Ruchama says, of Keser, it's like Ganuz, it's like hidden, It's still in Kli Echad, it's still one with the Ein Sof. And therefore, since it's still in a formless potential state, it can take on any form, and therefore it can include all forms, all other midos, even in the light. כמו שכתוב במקום אחר. That's one footnote on a footnote. But then there is a second footnote. Next page. The fact that in Tiferet is an exceptional situation here, that Tiferet side the Kli and side the Or of Tiferet is Kol Havaya, which is not so in the Shaar Hamidos, page Samach Daled on top. שאין בחינת שם הוויה רק באורות שלהם. In the rest of the midos, other than Tiferet, you can only find Shem Havaya in their light, not in their kelim. לא בבחינת הכלים. So look at the footnote or to the footnote. ועל כן אמר מי כמוך באלים כגון קהל דחסד או אלוקים דגבורה שקאי בחינת יסוד וכיוצא בכולן, אין שם הוויה בכלים שלהם, רק בבחינת הפנימיוס יש שם הוויה. So in the other spheros, other than Shem Havaya, you can find Shem Havaya not in the Chitzonius, not in the Kelim, only in the Oros, in the Pnimius. Uve'or Tiferet, however, in the light of Midas Tiferet, Yesh Shem Havaya ben bechitzonius ben bepnimius. There is Shem Havaya Sai in the Pnimius of the Midas Tiferet, which means it's all, and Sai in the Chitzonius of Midas Tiferet, which means in its Keli. V'hainu, why is it so? Mipnei she'ein ha'keli mastir es ha'or klal. Because in Tiferet, the Keli doesn't conceal the light. In other spheros, each Keli will conceal its light and will force the light to show up, not in its authentic state, like a traffic light. The light is white, but the Keli of red or green will conceal that light the way it is originally, authentically is, and now it will show up like a green or a red light. It will impose itself on the light. Not so in Midas Tiferet. In Midas Tiferet, the Kli is also transparent. The Kli is transparent. The Kli doesn't conceal and hide the light at all. ואותו אור וההוויה שבפנימיוס מתגלה גם בחיצוניוס הכלי. And the same light of Havaya in the Pnimius of Midas Tiferet, in the Or of Midas Tiferet, is showing up also and revealed also in the Kli of Midas Tiferet, in the Chitzonius, in the external appearance of Midas Tiferet. מה שאין כן שם קהל או אלוקים שבקהלים דחסד וגבורה. And this is not the case regarding the other shemos, other kelim of Kel or Elokim, Chesed וגבורה, שבקהלים דחסד וגבורה מסתירים על בחינת הוויה שמאיר בפנימיוס שלהם. The kelim of Chesed and גבורה conceal and hide the Shem Havaya that shines in the pnimius of those midos. ומה שכתוב, you have the pasuk in Tehillim, כי שמש ומגן הוויה אלוקים. הוויה and אלוקים are like a sun and the shield of the sun. The שם אלוקים מסתיר שם הוויה. שם אלוקים hides over שם הוויה. היינו בבחינת אלוקים דמלכוס דווקא. We're talking about Malchus, the Keli of Malchus. hides over הוויה. אבל לא מדבר באור התפארת דזו עצמו. This does not apply to Tiferet. In Tiferet, the Keli will not block the light. וראיה לדבר in the proof, לעתיד, regarding the future to come. דכתיב ונגלה כבוד הוויה כולו. The glory of Havaya will be revealed. Shem, what does it mean? Shem Havaya Davka. What will be revealed? Davka Shem Havaya. מפני שעתיד להוציא חמה מן הרתקה, because Hashem is going to take out the sun out of its shield, the ore out of its keli. In this case, we're talking about the harshest keli, so to speak, the keli that blacks the most, or that hides the most. That's the keli of Elokim, of Malchus, Elokim of Adnai, the Tzimtzumim of Shem Adnai, of Malchus. Sometimes Gvura is called Elokim, sometimes Malchus is also called Elokim, because Elokim denotes Tzimtzumim, and Malchus is full of Tzimtzumim in order to bring the light of Atzilus and to hide it, to conceal it, and compromise it, it should come down to Biyah. So Hashem is going to take out Havaya from the Keli of Shem Elokim, Tzimtzumim of Malchus. ובשם Havaya, but in Shem Havaya אין בחינת אלוקים המסתיר. Regarding Tiferet itself, Shem Havaya there's no blockage, there's no concealment of the Keli of the light, on the light. כשאר המידות, like the rest of the midos. על כן ממילא, what will happen? יתגלה כבוד Havaya וראו כל בשר ודם. Kvod Havaya, the way it is in Tiferet, will be revealed in all the Sfiros, because the Kelim will not block anymore. And therefore, the authenticity of Midas HaTiferet, that can represent Shem Havaya, Or and Sof, fully, Sai in its essence, and Sai in its appearance, this will be happening not only in Midas HaTiferet, it will happen in all the Midas, so nothing will hide anymore over the Or and Sof. And Or and Sof will shine throughout the all the Sfiros, rather than be concealed and distorted or diminished, and so on and so forth.
I'm curious, what is the function of the Keli of Tiferet then? If it's not Master 12, then what is it doing?
I think it enables the inclusion between all the other Kelim. The cooperation, it enables the cooperation to all the other Kelim. It brings Shem Ma, it brings the Bitul to Or and Sof into all the other Sfiros.
Could you say it's a little bit like a color wheel, that when you spin it, it turns white? Meaning, as opposed to like all the other colors, it's, if it's red, it's not green. If it's green, it's not blue. But if it's a color wheel, you can see in its essence, like it's white, but it includes everything.
Exactly. And that's the whiteness of Kesef.
That means green.
Yes, exactly. Very good example. Thank you. Thank you, Ochama. We are on page Samachei, Ve'edas Hashem. We are on page Samachei. In the middle, the line that starts, כל אחד ואחד יאיר בכלי שלו דווקא. We didn't review the beginning of the discussion which is the purpose is to mainly understand at this point Nekudim. Nekudim. But it began by bringing Antu Chad velo b'chushban, Chakim velo b'chokhma yediah. And the Rebbe asked, it says that in Kabbalah that you are one, but not one that can be counted. But then it says you are Chakim, you are Chacham, but not with the known Chokhmah. You are Mavin, but not with the known Bina, and going to the 10 Sfirot. So if you are one and not with the counted numbers, how does the rest, how the continuation of this statement is that you are a Chacham, you are Mavin, there are 10. You are 10. So are you not counted? Are you one that cannot be counted? Or are you 10, even though these 10 are not known? Okay? So the 10 that are not known are the Sfiros, the way are they still included in Or and Sof, the Gnuzos, the hidden, and the 10 that are known are the way the Sfiros are in Atzilus, the known, the revealed Sfiros. But the question is, if you are one and not counted, in the counted one, so how come the rest is stating that you are Chacham and you are Mevin and you, even though not the known Chokhmah, not the known Bina, but it's still counting 10. So are you 1 or are you 10? So we said that this is mainly according to the Kabbalah of the Arizal and the Pardes, the Ramach, Moshe Cordovero applies to Adam Kadmon or Kudim. The way the Esher Sfiros are Kudim in one Kli, are bound in one Kli. So here we needed to understand that it's a wonder, Kepele Yechashev, it's like a wonder. How is it there are 10 spheros that are, as Rochama are called gnuzos. They are hidden and concealed in a concealed, hidden way in Atzmus Mamash. And yet there would be 10 of them. Atzmus means oneness. And if there is oneness is higher than any Ischalkus. So how is it possible that there should be 10 spheros hidden in the oneness? So the Rebbe gave an example from the Eser Kochos HaNefesh, the 10 powers of the soul, Ratzon and Sechel and Midos. How are they in Etzem HaNefesh? Top of page Samachay. In Etzem HaNefesh they are all Klulim u'misachdim yachad. In Etzem HaNefesh, they are all inter-including and misachdim. They are unified and united together in Etzem HaNefesh, and they are so together, and they are so one with the essence of, with the soul itself, she'eina nikarim sham b'metzius klal uchlal, that they are not distinguished there individually, one from the other at all. They are totally one with the essence of the soul, with the soul itself, and not separate from each other. They are only including each other. They are all there, but not distinguished one from the other. They are all battled to the nefesh, the etzem nefesh. So in the nefesh itself, not in the body, the way the nefesh in the body, but in the nefesh itself, you don't see 10 korchos. You see nefesh. And the whole nefesh sees, and the whole nefesh hears, whatever it means there, so we will learn about that too. But there is no ischalkus. However, instantly, when a radiance from the nefesh is now invested and revealed in the body, there will be divided to 10 and to 248, and they will be divided to different korchos. 10, Ratzon now will be by itself, and Sechel will be by itself, and Midos by themselves, and each one will have their organs, and Ratzon will be all over, and so on. But each one will show up by itself now. And so too all the korchos. The power of seeing will show only in the eyes, and the power of hearing will show up only in the ears, and so on. Each one will have a metzius by itself, will be its own power, separate from the others, and in a separate organ. While in the essence, in the nefesh itself, they were all together, and not distinguished one from the other. So how does it happen that when they come to the body, we have 10 separate ones, and none of them would be operating in the other keli? They are completely distinguished one from the other, separate one from the other. If in the nefesh there were not 10, you couldn't see 10. But the truth is that there are 10 in Etzem HaNefesh. There are 10, but they only shine, they only are revealed when they are in the kelim of the body. So, later on you will see that even in the nefesh itself, you can also distinguish between two aspects. There is the nefesh itself, the way it includes 10 kochos in a hidden way, in a manner that they are all in one keli. You cannot distinguish between one and the other. And then there is really etzem nefesh that is even beyond that, beyond even 10 that are in one keli. So we will get there. But here we're talking generally.
Is there an example that came to mind?
Okay.
So I was thinking about 10 Hasidim, all different Hasidim, standing in front of a Rebbe. So they all have their own, one is David, one is Maskil. They have different kinds of pushim, but ultimately when they're standing there with that bissel, it's not sense their differences. What sense is what is completely and utterly the same amongst all of them. And then I was thinking when you mentioned that there's a point
that's
where...
the difference between the Sfiros HaGnuzos, like the Keli Echad, and the revealed Sfiros of Atzilus. Now, the way the 10 Hasidim, maybe I want to continue your mashal. The way the 10 Hasidim are in the neshama or in the head of the Rebbe, maybe that's the way they are, the Esem Nefesh.
Yeah, well, actually, I was thinking about the Friedrich Rebbe calling 10 Hasidim, and he made them swear that till Mesiras Nefesh they're going to go, and maybe that point, that nakuda, is literally the same. You can't distinguish between once they reach the point of Mesiras Nefesh, you really can't distinguish. So I was just thinking that might be another.
Yes, thank you. But let's focus on akudim now. So, in Ken Yesh Mitzir, they are these, we have to say that these 10 kochos are in the Nefesh itself, because otherwise from where are they coming? But there they are not at all distinguished. They are not sensed as much as they are when they are, and they're not revealed and sensed and recognized as much as they are when they are in the kelim of the guf, when the Nefesh is now revealing itself in the different organs of the body. Why? Because in Etzem HaNefesh they are all including each other, mitachdim, and unified with themselves, between themselves, and why between themselves so much one? Because they are one with Etzem HaNefesh. V'gam mitam zeh, and therefore because of this they cannot be separate from each other, but they are all unified. And you cannot distinguish Shechel from Ratzon and Ratzon from Midos. They are all included in Etzem HaNefesh, as the Midos as well. And so too all the kochos, hearing, seeing, hearing, and so on, everything is included in Etzem HaNefesh is one, not distinguish one from the other. And immediately, right when they come to shine in the Keli HaGuf, each one separates now from the other. The Sechel will shine in the brain, the Re'iyah, the seeing will in the eye, and the hearing in the ear, and they cannot be exchanged now. It cannot be that one koach will, that like the Sechel, will shine in another Keli, the Keli of the eye. Not going to happen. The intellect will not be operating in the eye, and the seeing will not operating in the brain or in the ear. Ela, rather, this is where we got to. Kol echad ve'echad. You see that line? Kol echad ve'echad. We read this, and we are in the middle of the line. Kol echad ve'echad, kaf alef vav alef, rashi tables. Kol echad ve'echad ya'ir bekli shelo. When it comes to the body, nefesh comes to the body, each and every koyach shines and operates in its own keli, its own organ. Dafka, specifically. Ulefi ze mimele yuvan. So now, the Rebbe says, we need to start fathoming or imagining or even b'derech ashlila, in terms of in a negative way, meaning what it is not, because it's hard to know what it is, but sometimes we know more what it is when we know more what it's not, at least. So let's reflect here a little bit. But from this, what do you learn from this, says the Rebbe? Yuvan, will be understood, she'ein aroch klal ליוז כוחוס הנמצאים באיברי הגוף לגבי יוז כוחוס הכלולים ומתאחדים בעצמות הנפש. Now the Rebbe says, will say like this: if you will want to compare between the 10 kochos that we have, Chochmah, Bina, Das, Chesed, Gvura, Tiferes, and so on, the way they are in the guf, versus the way they are in the nefesh itself, the Rebbe says, the difference is enormous. When we talk about chokhmah, about yitzchakmus, about conceptualizing, we are talking about our gashmi seichel, our brain, the way our intellect operates in our brain. Koach HaSeichel, in our experience, is physical. It's completely incomparable to the power of Seichel in the Nefesh itself, the intellect in the Nefesh itself. It's not physical. It is no conceptualizing the way we do. To conceptualize something out of ourselves or objects or ideas. It's completely different. It's very hard for me at least. Maybe you can help me to fathom what it is. Or Re'iyah, power of seeing. The Re'iyah that we see is a physical seeing. It's completely shelo be'erech, incomparable to the power of the Re'iyah in the Nefesh itself. Yoter, and it is so far that it is even greater. Now the Rebbe will make a comparison. The Rebbe says like this: there is a spiritual power in the earth that is called Koach HaTzomeach, the power of bringing forth vegetation. And when you plant a seed in the earth, it activates that spiritual power, which is a potential. It's a spiritual potential to bring forth any vegetation. And with the seed, it's like a code that now you activate the Koach HaTzomeach, the power of bringing forth vegetation in the earth. You activate it. It's a spiritual power. And now you activate it so it should manifest itself through a physical plant that will grow as a result of the seed activating the Koach HaTzomeach, the power of growth, that now it will reveal itself and it will concretize itself through the growing of a physical plant, whether it is a plant or a tree or whatever it is, a flower or grain or whatever it is. Now, if you compare between the Koach HaTzomeach in the earth and the plants that grew as a result of you planting a seed, it's en aroch. There is no comparison. The Koach HaTzomeach is unlimited. It's a spiritual unlimited power that can be translated and can reveal itself in many ways, and many plants, and it's unlimited. And the manifestation itself, which means the tree that grew out of that, or the plant that grew out of that power of growth in the earth, is a very physical, formulated manifestation of this formless spiritual power of growth that is, and it's unlimited power of growth which is in the earth. You see the difference between the two? You can't compare, even though one came from the other. So the other be mitzamtzem itself so much, and so too, you might think, is the difference between the way the koachos are in the nefesh itself versus the way the koachos are in the guf. And the Rebbe says you can't even compare one to the other, because the distance between the Koach HaTzomeach in the earth and the plant that grew out of it is not as big as the distance between the koachos in the nefesh, in the way they are in the guf, versus the koachos the way are in the nefesh itself. Now you can give me mashalim. So let's just read it inside. ולפי זה ממילא יובן, and according to this, naturally or automatically, you have to say that it will be understood שאין ארוך כלל. There is no comparison at all. ליוד כוחות הנמצאים באיברי הגוף, to the 10, between the 10 koachos, the way you know them in the body, you know that you have a chokhmah and a bina and a power of kindness, of revealing, and a power to hold back, to limit and to put boundaries and so. You have all these 10 powers, but he cannot compare them, comparing to Yud Koichos HaKlulim u'misachdim be'atmos HaNefesh, to the Koichos, the way they are included in one with the Nefesh itself. Yoter, and the distance between them is even greater than mi'erech Havdalas HaTzomeach HaGashmi legabe kocho v'shorsho haruchni bekoach hamatzmiach haruchni sheba'aretz. So the difference between the kochos HaNefesh, the way are in the guf, and the way they are in the Nefesh is even way greater than the difference between the plant that grows and the koach HaTzomeach, the unlimited, formless koach HaTzomeach that brings it forth, that is in the earth. Why? כי בחינת כוח השכל הכלול בעצם הנפש, שהוא רוחני בערך עצם רוחניס הנפש, כשבא ממנו אור להאיר בכלי המוח, לפי מזג גשם המוח, אין לו ערך כלל לגבי כוחו ושורשו הרוחני, שהוא כוח השכל שבעצם הנפש. The Rebbe is saying, because כוח השכל, the aspect of the potential, of the power of intellect, the way it is included in Etzem HaNefesh, which is spiritual in comparison to the Etzem HaNefesh, which means Koach HaSechel, the intellect, is not the way we are used to our intellect to experience it in our brain. It's the intellect is there, is completely spiritual, and it's part of Etzem HaNefesh. If you can imagine it, tell me. It's hard for me to imagine it. כשבא ממנו אור להאיר בכלי המוח, then from that spiritual power of intellect that we don't experience it, because we only experience it in our brain through our kelim, to the physical body. When it comes to shine in the kli hamoach, in the keli of the brain, then it will show up according to the physicality of the brain. It will completely change that power of intellect in the nefesh, and to the extent that en lo erech klal, that now it will be completely incomparable to the koyach, the power, the potential, and the shoresh haruchni of koyach hasechel in the nefesh itself. We're experiencing everything in the guf. We have no idea how the koyachas are, how each power that we have is, and each energy that we experience of the soul in the body is in the nefesh itself without the kelim of the body. כי הערת השכל שבמוח הוא להשחקם באיזה דבר, ולא שייך לכנות שם ישחקמוס בכוח השכל הרוחני שבנפש, כי הוא מושלל לגמרי מתואר ישחקמוס, שזה אינו אלא בהגשמת עניין ודבר מחולו. So the Rebbe says, because the ha'ara of the sechel, the radiating of the intellect, the power of intellect in the brain, that means to conceptualize something. L'ishchakem be'eze davar. And lo shayach to use the term ishchakmus, to conceptualize in the sechel aruchni, in the nefesh. Because in the nefesh, the intellect is completely mushlal, completely negated from the term ishchakmus, conceptualizing. Because when we say conceptualizing, we are talking about physical conceptualizing. The way we conceptualize, we perceive with our brain. And that's not the way the intellect of the nefesh operates. It's not physical. כמו, 1 second please. כמו שבוודאי אי אפשר לומר, לעז, it surely you cannot say that there is a comparison between the physical power of seeing that we have and the spiritual power of seeing that the nefesh has. שהנפש תראה ראייה גשמית. You cannot say that the nefesh sees a physical seeing. וכמו כן אי אפשר לומר שתשכיל שכל גשמי המושג במציאות חולו. And so too you cannot say that the nefesh conceptualize things the way we do conceptualize things with our brain. ועל דרך זה, likewise, כל היוד כוחos שבנפש מושללים לגמרי מכל בחינת תואר מציאות כוחos הנראים אלינו. And so too all 10 כוחos. And therefore the sub-kojos that are stemming out of them they are all completely negating from any description of the koiches that are revealed to us, the way they are revealed to us, the way we experience them. The power of seeing, the power of hearing, the power of digesting, the power of moving, the power of doing, asiya. Everything is in the nefesh, completely not in the way we physically experience it. Hanirim Eleinu. So we cannot give the powers of the nefesh the same descriptions, Torah, of the powers that we feel in our reality, Hanirim Aleinu, the way they revealed to us, be'evre aguf, through the organs of the body. Lo minei velo dugmatam klal uklal. Not similar and not identical and not similar at all. Ve'af al pichen, nevertheless, I'm coming to you, Leah. Don't go. I'm finishing now. Ve'af al pichen, nevertheless, שורש היוד כוחוס הנגלים בגוף, אחוז וקשור ביוד כוחוס הנעלמים בהלם עצמות הנפש ממש. Nevertheless, so on one hand, the Rebbe says, you cannot compare between the koiches, the way we experience them in the body, and the koiches, the way in the nefesh, at all. Not even like the difference between the plant and the spiritual koich HaTzomeach in the earth. Ad kedei kach not. Not similar, not identical, not similar, nothing. On the other hand, the shorish of the 10 koiches that are revealed to us in our body, as we are a conscious person, soul in a body, is definitely the shorish of all the koiches we have, is achuz v'kashur, is bound and attached and tied to the 10 koiches that are hidden in the hiddenness of the essence of the soul. They are coming from there. They are connected to there. The koiches, the way we experience them in our body, are stemming and connected and bound with the koiches in עצם הנפש, ממש. כמו כוח הראייה בעין שמקבל מכוח הראייה שבנפש, וכן שאר הכוחות חולו. Like the power of seeing in the eye that receives from the power of seeing in the nefesh, in the soul. And so too, the rest of the koiches. וכל אחד, and each one of them, לא ישנה את תפקידו מכוחו בשורשו ברוחניס הנפש, חולו בדל. And each one of them will not change its function from its potential koyach in the nefesh. It will be only functioning according to its source and root in the nefesh. It will be only seeing and not hearing, because it's coming from the power of seeing in the nefesh. And it's only hearing and not walking, because it's from the power of hearing in the nefesh. And it's only walking and not speaking, because it's the power of tnuah, of movement in the nefesh. So on one hand, they're incomparable. On the other hand, one comes from the other. They are connected. That's the mashal. The mashal of koiches hanefesh in the body in comparison to koiches hanefesh in the nefesh itself. And next time we do the nimshal of the 10 sfiros hagduzos in the ma'atzil. This is the comparison between the 10 spheres, the way they are in one keli, ganuz, hidden, and formless still in the emanator, in Or Ein Sof, versus the 10 spheres agluyos, the 10 spheres that are revealed in the kelim, in the guf, in the kelim of Atzilus.
Okay, thank you. So I actually have two questions. My first question is, I still didn't really understand why you can't compare the idea of the Kach HaSamech and the stuff that comes forth. Why is that such a bad comparison? I mean, Kach HaSamech is roughly, you can't describe, you can't define it, and then comes out physical, expressions from the ground. It seems to be saying the same thing. I don't understand why it's so different. That's my first question.
So first of all, is to understand that it's not the same thing. Even though it looks like the same, the distance, it's after all the distance of the tzimtzumim that need to happen between Koach HaTzomeach and the plant is not as big as the formlessness of, and the one with, in the essence of the nefesh itself, regarding the koichos is even more subtle, even less concrete than koach hasomeach. Koach hasomeach is already more concrete than the koichos, the way they are in Etzem HaNefesh.
We know how many ways to relate to
He
that,
didn't
right?
explain how. No. When you're talking koach hasomeach is a specific power that Hashem created that will produce vegetation. This is just a mashal to the koach in Etzem HaNefesh. Etzem HaNefesh is way higher than koach hasomeach in the earth. And in its essence, it's mamash part of the divine. So you can understand that we're talking about it way less tangible and concrete and metzumtzam than koach hasomeach in the aretz, in the earth. Yes, Ruchama.
The way I don't think that helps, but for me it's like saying that the body protects us from almost an atomic forces, that if we didn't have those consuming, like it's incomparable. The body sickness protects us from this awesomeness that is to the divine. I mean, we wouldn't exist. So really the Somech is like a little mini example of what happened above us. That's how I see it. Do you understand? Like,
yes.
He's giving a little example, but
yes.
Really I see how much we are protected from explosion from above. And we try to, in other courses, for us to feel us to bring a little bit more, right? To
right,
us.
right. The Koach HaSameach is more megushama, so it's definitely less.
And I think he's telling us that, right? Be aware of what's going on. He wants us to be aware of much more higher forces above us, right?
Yes.
Somehow.
Well, to understand also, and that we will. It's all. Akudim is not the ultimate. The ultimate is Etzem HaNefesh itself, even higher than Akudim, that shines through Akudim, through Nekudim, through the Ratzon, through the Sechel, through the Midos, all the way down to Asiyah Hagashmis. So we are studying the relativity of the Seder Ishtalshelus from the essence which will be the essence which is one mamash one below bechushban is before the tzimtzum. So before the tzimtzum. And even there, when we learned about Yachid, Echad and Kadmon, we see that in Kadmon Hashem is already envisioning, 10 and so on. So it's all relative. But to understand the principle.
I think it's more protective to us in some ways. Protective layers to us, and because we like Nadav and Avihu, if we go so quickly to there,
not only that, but it's through the revelation of the neshamos in the bodies, we can actually interact with each other in the best way. Like in Atzilus, the Partsufim, the interaction between the spheros becomes possible when there are more and more kelim shenim. Yeah. And in this case, the kelim are creating inter-inclusion. Like in the body, we see that in the body, the organs of the body are very much interacting with each other. It's one body. They're merging with each other. Yeah. It's kalalus.
The second question I had is, I was a little confused when you said, like, for example, our seeing, like, we can understand that there's a higher spiritual form of seeing that's nothing to do with, like, the actual sight in an eye. Or movement, the same thing. There's a spiritual thing called movement, which has nothing to do with, like, physical things. So what would that be? Because that you can...
And use it use it also to the seichel, the intellect. Imagine the intellect also
you can
like that.
See a connection, though. Like we were saying the whole time, that you can't see it so much, that you can't... there's no conceptualizing it, but it seems quite... It seems that you can conceptualize, like, a connection. What we were saying this whole year is that you can't conceptualize what these kefas are really benefesh, right?
Right.
So then...
You can see that they are connected. But you need some siyata deshmaya, a lot of meditation, and some kind of opening brain transformation to really be able to understand what what intellect is if it's not in the brain. How the intellect of the nefesh operates. How knowing operates.
Right.
We are knowing, we know only superseding. We know only superseding. And conceptualizing and holding ideas. We don't know how the nefesh knows.
So we're speaking specifically about koach hasechel, but like other koachas we can?
No, the same thing with other koachas. The same thing with other koachas. But it's hardest to understand, I think, in terms of koach hasechel. I can understand that, okay, there's a difference between seeing the ruchnius and seeing the gashmius. So seeing the gashmius, I see a thing. Sometimes I say, I see. I still say I see in the eyes of my mind. But to say that my mind is also megushtam versus the mind of the sechel, how do you explain that? How do you
1 second.
How do you compare between? How is that answering the fact that okay, I'm wired one way, your brain is wired another way, but I'm saying in your brain itself, how can you really experientially, not as an idea, we just read the idea. As a concept, we have got the concept. That one comes from the other. But really, experientially, how can you imagine experiencing intellect not through a brain?
Right, I can't, but I could with sight or movement. That's why I'm wondering why there's a difference there.
You can, in sight and movement. You gave a mashal to it.
We just said you can appreciate seeing like without actual eyes. Like you can appreciate the concept.
But it's still the seeing. You're seeing in the eyes of your mind. And your mind is also megusham.
So when we do say, like, we can appreciate the idea of movement, is that or is it not the koach the way it is included in the nefesh? Or is it just another level of understanding the same gashmiastika, like, movement, but the real koach, the way it's in the nefesh, is nothing to do with movement as we know it?
Right. Not even the movement in our minds. Listen, all these things are there for us to relate to them as doors that need to be open. You know, Hashem is preparing us to Geula. The Rebbeim are preparing us to Geula. So we need to live with it. That's why we are reviewing